Why are we called Negroes? Why are we deaf, dumb, and blind? Why is everybody making progress, yet we seem to be lagging so far behind? Why are we mistreated? Why are we in this condition? Stripped of our name, our language, our culture, our God, and our religion. Here in America, all of our religious training has been gotten by the preacher. He has told us of a heaven way up in the sky that we can't enjoy now, but rather after we die.
Once again.
Here we are once again. I want to first start off in the most holy name of Alaikum Salam. I want to first start off in the most holy name of Allah, bearing witness that there is no God but Allah and Muhammad is his messenger. I would like to welcome you with the greeting words of peace in the beautiful Arabic language of Assalamu alaikum. And welcome to your Thursday night. Your Thursday
We're gonna
night.
Have to change the title. Your
Thursday night talk. And we listen. This is part 2. This is in. It was like in high demand. Everybody like me. Yes, come. Yes. So with that being said, if you wanted the business, you got the business. We supplied the business. So what do you need to do? You need to like and share. You need to let the people know, the same people that was here 2 weeks ago should be the same people that should be coming back with the same information and the same energy and the same 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 and the same.
I'm going to go old school hip hop on that, Sister Cleveland. You better act like you know. You better copy that URL, share it with your friends.
That's right.
Text it to them that you got to be on this.
That's right.
This is a discussion tonight that you do not want to miss.
You do not want to miss.
You want to ask questions.
There you go.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, ask questions and learn all about yourself.
That's right.
There's an opportunity to do that.
Perfect opportunity to do that.
Excellent.
And I'm not even going to belabor the point, because who am I? I'm with pencil and paper too. I'm trying to get all what I can get for what I need in my future, right? So I'm going to turn it over to you, Brother Tony.
All praise due to Allah.
And I'm going to be liking and sharing.
In the name of Allah, the beneficent, merciful, I bear witness to the oneness of Allah who came in the person of Master Farrah Muhammad. I am forever thankful to Almighty God Allah for the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. And I thank them both for the honorable Minister Farrakhan. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be unto you. Abaragani, Hotep, Frida Land, Buenas noches, Sakpase. Greetings and all the beautiful greetings that our people greet one another in. And we're greeting you in that greeting right now. Welcome to Thursday Night Talks, which is headed up and spearheaded by the 7th Region Coalition to help save lives. We've been on a mission since July 4th, 2020, soon after the Honorable Minister Farrakhan's Criterion message, where he guided our people to safety through that lecture. We were assembled to follow up and guide the people to therapies, to facts, information regarding the saving of lives. Excuse me, family, my throat's a little dry. But tonight we are, and in all of our programs, we've been focusing for the past, what, 4.5 years, Sister Kalila?
Yes.
We've been focusing on the 9 ministries per the instructions of our student regional minister, who is the one who assembled us, put us together, Student Minister Patrick Muhammad. The 9 ministries given to us by the Honorable Minister Luz Farrakhan, which are all oriented towards saving lives, because it is through these 9 ministries that we find our purpose, our reason to doing the work that we do. All of us have talents and gifts that are given to us. Some of them have to be cultivated. Whatever piques our interest, we should be going into different ministries oriented towards saving lives. Tonight, we are focusing on the head ministry, which sets the basis to them all, which is the ministry of spiritual development. This ministry bears responsibility for the assisting the individual members of the community in the process of heeding truth in right guidance. Respect, honor, and obedience to the authority of the Creator in all aspects of life are essential to peace, harmony, freedom, justice, and equality. In the words of the Honorable Minister Luz Farrakhan, self-development is an absolutely essential component of this microcosm of the new world. It is not enough that we grow horizontally through the acquisition of farms, factories, banks, industry, trade, commerce, money, good homes. Horizontal growth alone is death. All dead things are on a horizontal level. Therefore, we must grow vertically, grow in uprightness, or we will be overcome by our horizontal growth. The foundation of this ministry are study and training units designed on the guidance of Allah God to produce self-examination, self-analysis, self-correction, and to quicken in each of us self-accusing spirit. For it is only when we are awakened morally that we have to face self-accusing spirit that leads to our resurrection. With that, I deliver this over to Brother Mark, who will be introducing our guests here tonight for this exquisite and awesome art.
Thank you, Brother Tony. This is Brother Mark. And yeah, we want to get into.
I hope
Of course
so,
you are,
Brother
Brother
Mark.
Mark.
I hope you're Brother Mark.
If you had a name change, that's something that we need to know, Brother Mark. But go ahead.
We want to get into knowing who our guest is. And, you know, we already did a description of them the last time they were here, but we want to do something a little different this time. We want to give a description of them by bearing witness from the three of us, very briefly now, because we do want to bring them on soon. Just a testimony of our brother and our sister. So I'll start to give you a little time, Brother Tony, says Khalil. But
yes, sir.
Maybe I've known them the shortest amount of time of the three of us in terms of personally and experiencing them in person. But man, the few years that they've been in Jacksonville permanently, not to return to Miami.
Right.
It has been wonderful, magnificent. And I really see true believers when I see them, when I observe them. And it's kind of like I see, like, they're two sides of the same coin. I see Brother Al interact with new brothers, and I see Sister Farrah interact with new sisters. And similar way that they're counseling, they're teaching, they're listening, and they're just a beautiful couple, very beautiful couple. I love Brother Al, his spirit, his great energy, I love Sister Farrah and her beautiful way that she expresses and how she always shows gratitude, not just to the sisters, but to the brothers, you know.
Yes.
And that's unique to see, but I see how she will always thank the brothers for simple things like opening the door or whatever, but just a beautiful couple. So that's me. So let's get to Sister Kalila, and then we'll get to Brother Tony.
You know, when you look at perfection that is covered, let me rephrase. When you look at imperfection that's covered with perfection as it relates to a couple, they just make it look so easy. And I know for a fact it's hard. I mean, I've been in and I'm in the trenches. I know. But it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. But they make it look so easy. It makes it look like, hey, this is what you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be married. You're supposed to be into your 7 units. You're supposed to be the provider and the protector. You're supposed to be the maintainer. You're supposed to be all of those beautiful things in order for you to make sure that a marriage is sustainable. And this couple makes it look like anybody can do it. But we're going to talk about that in a moment. But this couple, this is the reason why there is a part 2, because they need to be heard. They have went through so much triumph and so much just trials and tribulations that it's unbearable. I know for a fact that some of people who have been in relationships have actually divorced or separated on the basis, it's on the surface of what they have experienced as couples, and they have came through it, conquered, whooped everything that came their way. Obstacles look like child's play to them, and they're still enduring. And I love and adore them. And they also counsel the couples here in Jacksonville. And when I say wonderful counsel, oh my God, no biasness, no, oh, I'm going to choose this side because this is a sister. I'm going to choose this side because this is a brother. No, everybody getting checked. And they are the check and balance when it comes down to relationships. So I am honored to even be in their presence, because their presence demands respect. And I would love to give that respect to them today. And so that's it. I love this couple. I mean, if you want to put a couple on a pedestal, this is the couple that you should put on the pedestal. And I already know they're gonna be like, no, not me, not me. You better these are called flowers while you live. Accept the flowers, because you're gonna be like, I already know. I know. First of all, I know Sister Farrah. I know she's gonna be like, no, sister, no. Accept the flowers. These are flowers while you live. So praises be to Allah. I am going to turn it over to my dear brother, Brother Tony.
Praise be to Allah. I too bear witness to how beautiful this couple is.
Yes.
When you see one, really, let me rephrase that. When you see them both, you're talking about one.
Right.
Which is how you're supposed to function in marriage.
Right.
And so no matter what they're going through, they handle things together. Right. They go through difficulty together. They make the decision to do that.
Right.
I've had so many beautiful experiences with both of them. They're the kind of believers in the Nation of Islam that live up to the standard of loving for your brother or sister what you love for yourself.
Right.
They take the time, yes, Sister Tonisha, exemplary.
Right.
That is a
there beautiful
way of explaining who they are. Exemplary.
Yes.
Wanting to see growth, wanting to see development, wanting the very best for the new ones, wanting the very best for those of us that have been around for a while.
Right.
giving counsel whenever it's needed.
Yes.
So, from my experience from Brother Al, when he was the 7th regional student captain, and when he was not the 7th regional student captain, he would always we would get into discussions, and when we would discuss difficulties as brothers, and when I would express to him some difficulty maybe that I would be going through, he'd always respond as a brother. Okay, now what are your options? All right, so now what after this? Which that is the absolute way that we should give counsel to one another.
That's right.
And I'm a bearer of witness that they apply every nook and cranny of the teachings into their lives and apply it to the growth and development of everyone that they encounter. This is a beautiful example of believers in a married couple in the Nation of Islam. And so, with that, shall we bring them on?
Yes,
please bring them on. Let's
Shall
bring them
we
on.
bring them on?
Bring them on.
Let's bring them on. Flowers while you live. Flowers while you live. And you go take those flowers, Brother Al and Sister Farrah.
Take the flowers.
Take plenty. Take plenty.
Hey, look, first, giving praise and honor, giving praise and honor to Almighty God, Allah, for intervening in our affairs, in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, in his choice, when everybody else had theirs, he asked them, may I choose? He chose the one with the big heart.
Yeah.
He chose the one as they described him as 5'6", 12 feet tall. Who is now known to us as the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, the first man of the New World Order. We wouldn't be talking like this. Look, we wouldn't be talking like this. We wouldn't be thinking like this.
No.
If it wasn't for
it would be a bunch of
our
Negroes
Lord and Savior, family, come on. What will this concept of Messiah or Jesus or I'm telling you me. I'm just letting you know me. I'm like Lazarus.
Or the institution of marriage.
I'm Lazarus. I'm Lazarus, But we wouldn't know this if it wasn't for the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, the one who opened up our eyes, continues to open our eyes and unclogged our ears, right? And then set up a program to loosen a knot in our tongue. And now we stand before the wise of the world, speaking wisdom because he gave us something to say.
Right. There you go.
In the name of Allah, Master Muhammad, fearlessly. And we love the fact that he came and opened our eyes because we didn't even know we was blind, deaf, and dumb.
Come on.
Literally blind, deaf. Oh, come on. Come on now. Literally. And so now, and those end results for Brother Al is prison. For Brother Al, there was prison. And I've been through some stuff, and this is why I give my life, my prayer, my sacrifice, and my death for this work right here, because I wouldn't have been anything. I'd have been behind the wall, and so therefore, I really believe this. I really believe this, fam. I'm telling you, we really believe it now. You can't die unless Allah kills us. And so the work that we do, the street going, what we do is is by Allah. Allah permits it to happen, and it's nothing that came up out of my mind. It didn't come. I didn't make this up. Human services, self-improve. I didn't do this. But you know what? I just jumped in it like raw material because I thought I was all that when I was rough and tough, right? So now Allah wanted to show me if I could deal. In the midst of the military, the FOI. Woo-hoo! Good training.
All praises to Allah. Well, we want to continue this conversation that's so valuable and so many people found so awesome. And I want to lead in and start with this question. And one of the most popular books in the Nation of Islam literature is by the Star of God, student minister Abel Muhammad, a little book called Real Love. So, my question to you too: how do you know when love is real? Are trials necessary to establish that love is real? Could you expound?
I absolutely do believe that. I'm gonna allow you to you did the opening for us. So yeah, absolutely. I believe that trials are necessary to establish truth, and we started right in the beginning of the journey with trials, and 2 weeks in, I don't know if we shared this before, but 2 weeks in,
A review is
I
good,
looked at
sister.
my wedding picture and I was like, what did I do? I called up the local minister, Brother Jamil, and he said, hold tight. Hold tight, family. You got to give it some time. I'm just paraphrasing, but in so many words, it was, you're going to go through this. And it's the beginning. And I thank Allah for friends of the family. Friends of the family are vital, but trials are absolutely necessary. They establish, well, in the beginning also, he said, because I was flight. If you said 2 cuss words back to back, I was done. I was done. If you raise your voice, because back in the day, that's just how I rolled. I didn't grow up with my dad in the household, so my mom wasn't fussing with anybody other than us, right? So it was like, I'm not doing that, and I would just like go, and he was like, well, go, you punk. I was like, I was stifled because he raised his voice. And I was like, this is just way too much. And we had to go through that. And we had to learn how to communicate. And we had to learn. I mean, I thank Allah for the teachings and the classes. That was our saving grace. There's no secret, no mystery, no puff of smoke, none of it. It was staying in the process. And I don't mean the institution of marriage. It was staying in the classes, Sunday, Saturday, Wednesday, Friday. I mean, every time the doors open, and that was on 3013 North Avenue. That was a storefront house that we went up there, and they called it shotgun because you shoot somebody at the front door and everybody get slaughtered. And so it was no great big magnificent edifice, but the word was so empowering. And what we were learning in that class about how not to slice the Black man because of what he's always, and how to lift him at the same time. You don't take craziness. There's no acceptance of madness, but you learn the art of communication.
Right.
So you determine whether you want hell or heaven. That was in our classes right at the very beginning for me. And so Sister Ava was also very prevalent in my journey in the beginning, because when I read material, it was talking about the male ego. And so right off the bat, I realized that's what I had been introduced to with that loud voice, because, I was like, whoa. And I said to myself, it was a training of how to be able to communicate with him to get the best out of him.
Wow.
Right. And so that first 2 years was a journey just in that communication.
Wow.
Right. And so I say that first trial, we've had many trials. We had trials yesterday. We just took off our gloves, put them under it, and we got ready and suited boom because we committed to something. But yeah, I absolutely believe that trials are meant to purify, because each one of them has allowed us to grow, and even the one that we're in right now, to grow deeper in like and in love. I bear witness that I thought I knew what unconditional love was, but I bear witness
Come on.
that I love this dude unconditionally now. We say words like brother and sister, and we use them and we just kind of throw them around. But when you begin to understand what a brother and a sister really are, I understand so much more now why it's essential, to use those terms, and also student to continue to study so that you continue to get better.
And I must just tie right in. I wanted to get better.
That's important. That's important.
Very, very important.
I knew when I heard the Honorable Louis, I didn't know this language, but now I know what sick and tired of being sick and tired means. And I didn't know I was 100% dissatisfied with my present condition. But now I know what it means to be 100% dissatisfied with your present condition, and because of that 100%, that's when change comes.
Mm-hmm.
And because I wanted change, I needed change, because I had a life. I had a life before Islam. I had a life before Islam, and I came up a certain kind of way. I'm grateful. I'm grateful, and this teaching, what I'm saying is what this teaching has done for me, and the greatest gift was the FOI training. Mm-hmm. The greatest gift that could happen was the FOI training, the military training of the FOI, and coming to know that the only reality is the reality of Allah. God. Now, period. So if that's the only reality, and I've stepped into the bounds of Mr. Muhammad to be trained and cultivated his way, right? I don't know. Right. I don't know. And there's a military, so for me, military mean war. Mm-hmm. That's what military means for me. I'm already like that anyway. I just, or a warrior, whatever you want, I wasn't cultivated, so it meant war to me. So it got me ready. I was like, okay, well, and I didn't know the mighty FOI. The mighty FOI, has a way of the Godship humbling you. Mm-hmm. Right. When you want to do better, you got to want to do better. See, you got to want to do better, because there's times when you don't want to go, but then there's somebody knocking on your door. Something like a social. Hey, come on out. We got something. We got that. I mean, and you already, okay, yes, I throw the suit on and you gone. Right. And then you being trained in, general orders, the value of these general orders and how they are part of your life. They never leave you, and so the struggle for me was mentally and spiritually, and I always stayed in shape physically. So I already know the resistance, the purpose for resistance, so in that FOI, that mighty FOI training, you want that kind of resistance. Right. You want somebody that, in the name of Allah, who is tact and skillful enough, on how to maneuver to get you to stay dutiful, even when you don't want to do it, right? And that's what this training does. But you got to stay in it. Some of us, the majority of us, have bought the mission too soon, right? It's like aborting the process and never get a chance, to reap the benefits, the spiritual and the mental benefits of the journey. Because you gonna know you're gonna be tested down the road. And if you ain't got the right mindset, if you ain't got the right mindset, all you need to do is deviate, you're gonna sink.
I want to segue to this beautiful picture.
Oh wow.
Oh,
When I say let's talk about it, let's talk about it. Listen.
Wow.
And I'm like, you know how when people take pictures and they like, who is these people? Oh, this me. I was like, oh, praise be to Allah. And you be like in the back of your mind, it's like, this is not you. It can't be you. You all both look the same.
You just love us.
I'm serious. I'm serious. You both look the same. And this goes to show just how wonderful and how real and how living our teachings are. Right. These teachings are real. These teachers are not to play with, because these teachers will make you look young and make you feel young, even through your trials and tribulations. It will make you feel like this, like love. The teachings is love.
How much it costs?
So I pray. So yeah, I just wanted to segue to this. I'm sorry.
Wow, thank you. Wow,
that picture, and you know what's so beautiful, where a lot of people spend a lot of money on weddings. We might have spent $250, and I think one of the beautiful sisters from that wedding, Chandra, is looking in. She sang at my wedding. And I tell you what's so funny, it was the beginning of my journey, and I wanted her to do a Luther Vandross song or something I had, and she wasn't doing secular music because she had been saved, right? Oh. Now we went to college together and neither one of us were saved. We'll just leave it at that, right? But she got saved before I did. And she wouldn't sing it, and she sang the song One in the Spirit. We'll be one always. And I think about it and how beautiful that was, because it was a segue into our journey. All things work together for the good of the Lord for those who are called to his purpose. Right. Now, that picture was taken in front of the Christian Center, which we got for $50 because we met at Morgan. That was our school, and we had some ends. I believe Al actually lived in that building, the Christian Center there. Brother Jamil was he officiated the wedding. He was the minister over our wedding. And we had maybe 200 and some people. The MGT cooked. And they did a 40-man salute. I think Brother Al had become the first officer. Not long before it happened. And when I tell you, it was just, my dress might have cost $100, $150 tops. And that was it. And when I tell you, and I went to
we got over $1,000 to $1,100 too.
And we invested it. We invested it in the future.
More out than in.
Right. And it just was beautiful. The MGT showed off. Right. They set that thing up. Our family was there. My sister, my beautiful sister Fatima. And Shandy was also in the wedding. It was just beautiful. We had a lineup. We had everybody that needed to be there in that time and place. And when I tell you, most of all, it was just God. I'm telling you. So I tell the people that are getting married, don't worry about all of that money, spending all of that money for it. Spend lightly. And invest that money in the future. Invest it. So that was a beautiful day for us. That was beautiful.
Praise be to Allah.
But trials are necessary, Mark. Trials are necessary.
Absolutely.
I
So,
was afraid you were going to say that.
by the way, trials are necessary.
Your minister said, struggle, struggle, ease, struggle, struggle, ease, struggle, struggle, ease, struggle, struggle, ease.
Right.
And
Right.
people used to get mad at us when we said that. Some people would get upset. They would say, you always say that, and puts like a bad like a cloud over the marriage. I'm like, no, you better recognize that's our teachings. You get ready, because the ease is coming. You just got to work your way through it. Then you develop and learn skills in the meanwhile. So,
and the beautiful thing about
real.
the struggle ease, right? You got the blueprint. You just said the blueprint. You just gave the answer to the answer key.
Right.
And it's in every aspect of life.
Sister Farrah and Brother Al, correct me if I'm wrong, but you have to make a decision to merge with each other.
Right.
Real. I mean, I'm not just saying be familiar with each other. I mean, really learn one another.
Right.
And that is an act of love.
See, for me, it's connecting with God.
Mm-hmm.
It's that journey. It's that journey where I have to demonstrate my commitment to Allah, and it's not by talking. It's not by talking. It's by action. And it's the same thing with the relationship. I mean, this is my wife. This is not a girlfriend. This is not this is my wife.
Right.
This is my wife. And even if a trial and a tribulation is coming, just remember, we gonna see it through.
Right.
We gonna see it through because it's supposed to happen. That's why God said, "My ways are not your ways." It ain't you can't be in the kingdom of God being no punk.
Right.
Being no slouch. You got to be strong. And this is what Farrakhan is developing. Strong soldiers. But do you believe? You say you believe, but then again, your actions say something different. It gives us an opportunity to check ourselves. When you give your word, you got to stick to your word. Whether you got to make a phone call, she say, "Did you call brother so-and-so?" You were supposed to make sure. I didn't feel like calling, right? But when I called, it was the right thing to do. But even though we just keep everybody, because we know our way.
Right.
We're familiar with our way, and so you want to encourage each other, inspire each other to be the best helper for Farrakhan,
right,
in the great nation of Islam.
That's right.
Yeah. So I want to ask this question, because right now our rate of divorce is really skyrocketing. And it's so funny because when we go down to the justice of peace, they always say, if you don't have an answer, just put unreconcilable differences. That's the only bubble that most marriages separate or get divorces from. And I want to touch on this. It specifies that each divorce is the death of a small civilization. This was a quote that was given by a lady named Pat Correa. But then also the Holy Quran states that Allah hates divorce. Can you touch on the significance of these quotes and what it takes to make a relationship like a marriage strong enough to say, hey, divorce is not an option?
Assalamu alaikum.
Like, it's had to get a greetings on that one.
Hey, the greetings is a prayer, Sister Kalila. Go ahead.
That was a prayer. Yeah.
Peace be unto you, my sister. Now the first part of the question was, could you repeat it again? That's
Yeah,
the first part.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So, the first part of the question is, can you touch on the significance of these quotes? Each divorce is the death of a small civilization, and Allah hates divorce.
I you know, the Honorable Louis Farrakhan has opened up our eyes to the reality of God. And he says if you want to communicate with God, you communicate with God with the Holy Quran.
That's right.
And then he told us that we love the Holy Quran, we love God, and when we go into the Holy Quran, we kiss the book. We put it on our forehead.
Mm-hmm.
We turn it over and we kiss it again. We're saying that we love the word of God and we want it in our heart and in our mind. And so therefore, he said this. So if this is true, I'm going to test my faith. So I'll take the book, put it on the head, say the say the success prayer. Allah, I beseech your aid. Allah, I believe in you and I trust in you for all that I need. I've been greatly unjust to myself and I confess my faults. Guide me. And when I open up the Holy Quran, wherever I open it up, that's where I believe Allah wants me to be. Now search. And it's a way that I try to train and condition myself, to, because you'll miss some signs every day. That Allah give you signs every day. Every day you'll miss the signs, and I know, and I'll never forget being on the post as the student 7th regional captain. It was so much pressure, there wasn't an idle time because it was so much pressure and everything you had to make sure, because you wanted to, failure was not an option. And so as long as we stayed locked into Allah, right, we'd trip and stumble, but Allah would eventually, take us to be successful. But it's belief. I believe it's belief. God is not a mystery no more. He's not a mystery no more. So if I say this, I should be acting in accordance with that mindset.
Right.
I can't talk this way, but then act like, it's somebody else. I'm pointing the finger at somebody else. Not for me. It's only one reality, and it's the reality of Allah.
So that statement about and divorce, when we're talking about divorce and we're talking about the communities that suffer because of the breakup of families, that was a powerful way worded. That was very powerful because it's so very, very real. Children, I'm watching it play out, and children develop relationships with the partnership, and your representation of God in the home, and then when that's separated, pulled apart, and then you it's two different worlds, because then they take on two different worlds, and then they go and visit, and just a lot of things happen in that pain, a lot of pain, a whole lot of pain. And I've watched it play out. And honestly, there were times in the journey where that was there was one time in specific, it was on the table in
Say
my
it.
mind,
Say
not in his mind, but in my mind.
You ain't
Maybe
going,
in
you
his
ain't going
mind
nowhere.
too.
You ain't going nowhere. You
And
ain't going nowhere.
what? And what?
I was gonna
Sister
fight for mine.
Camilla.
Yeah, all right, okay.
and it is because of what Allah's saying about He hates divorce. And I had to remember, I said I was flight before. So something to ruffle my feathers and flatline me. Like, I mean, when I tell you, because I realize though, because everything that title student is just ingenious. The Honorable Minister was Farrakhan with that student coming before every student,
everything
in the institution of everything is student.
right.
When I think of the classroom that I've been in and understanding things on a different level and growing beyond and understanding, you know, at the time, the jugular vein is right there. You looking at it, you like you sleep every opportunity, and you know, and you realize, dang, when you go through that classroom, that study, when you stay in the process, the classes, the study group, oh, you can't, if you miss that, you may it's easy to channel out. That's right. But if you stay in it, you begin Allah, you will find Allah in it. That's right. You will find Allah in it, and you will begin to and listen, this is a disclaimer for people that could not, that it did not happen. Go ahead, say it. And Allah has shown them something different. There's no judgment on the people that have not made this decision, right? I have to be very clear about that. It is simply in response to what you said, that was in the back of my mind, that Allah hates divorce. And then it says obedience is better than sacrifice. I just really have come into understanding the fullness of that. And I'm sure as the years progress, I will continue to. But that if you give it time, like yesterday, he plucked my last black nerve yesterday, my last black nerve. And the next day I was like, man, I was getting ready to divorce you yesterday. I'm so glad I stayed. What? And I'm like, so if you give it a chance, I can't imagine how many people, how many times, because it's been 36 years. And so in that, there's not a week that doesn't go by when we don't disagree. In fact, not a day that we don't disagree on something. It's the way we have learned and stayed in the class. Thank Allah for that MGT class. Woo! Thank you. That it takes you through a course of study. I mean, I'm talking about scenarios, acting it out, doing all of that, going into the Bible, and really learning how to exercise what it is you say you believe, and then settle on the best part. Right. That's the hard part. But it's when you get that and it's and you recite it and you understand the depths of it. Why isn't the devil set on the best part? Because there's some crap with me. Right. You go into inspecting someone else, you got to do some introspecting, and you realize, man, somewhere along there, you know, hey, maybe it's a little bit, just a little bit, you know, but right. Really, there you'll find there are some things that you haven't done well, and you have to work on as well. That's not to excuse bad behavior ever, right? But I'm just saying, you start to do introspection and you realize that there's some things that you can do better with to also help in that which went wrong, right? And so it's been a learning curve. I'm grateful to prayer, friends of family. May I just say this? Listen, friends of family are everything. Everybody is not meant to nurture your marriage. It's not in them. They mean well, but they don't. So I don't even But I had a very good friend. I'm gonna call her name Sherry Muhammad, my forever first officer, Baltimore, Maryland, who was a friend of my husband's and myself. And when I went through a very, of course, the whole sisterhood will circle up around you and tell you,
Right.
and work. So there are many of them. I could name them for days. But that sister had me. She said to me these words. They're prophetic. Get ready. Pee or get off the pot.
I love it.
She's an attorney. She's brilliant. And she asked me honestly, brother Mark, the other day, we watched the movie Something the Lord Had Made. And line that said, when he says, "Why are you coming back here?" Because I'm the same old MF that I was before. And he said, "Because I love the work. It's not about you, it's about the work. And I love the work." And Sister Sherry, going back to that, she had me to weigh some things because you're emotional when some stuff is happening.
Of course.
Like this didn't happen to us. We were really in the fight for marriage and this and that and the other. And you realize that it did happen to you. Get over yourself, right? So she would say, she would have me to weigh it because she's an attorney and she's, that scale thing. She's real big on the scale and all of that. So she had me to weigh it and she looked at it and I started really thinking about and evaluating his great points with the children, with the school, with the work in the community, with the fan. I mean, when I started going down, it is humbling, right? So, and then there's this thing over here that just completely flatlines you and there's no getting around it. I was devastated and probably hurt the organs in my body during that time because of, what's the word I want to use? When
behavior unbecoming of Muslim.
He gonna say behavior unbecoming of a Muslim.
Acting other than yourself.
Resentment. There was so much resentment that I tell him I wasn't his friend again until 4 years afterwards. Really. Now, guess what? I still cooked. I still cleaned.
There you go.
One the Sherry there, she goes,
there you go.
Umi, we're MGT. We're not cooking for them. We're cooking for Allah, and that because just reinforcing what we're learning in class, a reminder, because that little kazoo, anybody 60 or whatever from Fred Flintstone, that kazoo come over here and say, don't cook him nothing.
Right.
But the other way over there said, that's not, you supposed to be cooking for, because you just supposed to cook. That's the way you do it, because he's out, he's working, he's doing this, you're home, cook, and don't spike it. That's not good. It's a fight.
Oh,
but he just, but Allah wins because God is the center. When you get over yourself,
right,
and understanding the pain, the immense pain and all of that, you get over yourself and you get back. And that's one of the big things. And no, I'm not a talker, I'm pretty reserved. I have become a talker. Let me share something. And that to be able to help others that have gone through similar things has been a beautiful piece. I don't know. There's some families on here that have had us to come in and facilitate workshops, unbeknownst to us, and we were able to share. And when we shared, it brought about healing. And so, in this journey, we just submitted to another part of the work, and that is to help other people to come through it as we continue to attempt to overcome obstacles. There's only grace and mercy, that are before us and behind us, and Allah at the center. Like I said in the beginning, we just grateful, and we just grateful.
And and brotherhood, it was my behavior. But I tell you this much. She wasn't going nowhere. I was cleaning it up. I cleaned it up. And from there, it put me in a process where I had to earn her respect, where I had to earn even her allowing me to husband her. I had to earn it, and it took years. It took years, like 4 years. And I mean, and we had some get downs, but I just, come on,
get down, just
4 years. Come on now, come on, you can't hold me hostage to something like that. Come on now, let's go. I mean, let's move forward.
Yeah, and I like what even took place in our class the other day. Brother Mark, beautiful job. As we are talking about marriage and courtship in our Wednesday night class, when I tell you it's phenomenal, because I don't care if you're not interested in marriage, you are interested, you're in courtship, you're proposed to, you're newlyweds, you 35 years in, there was something great, because we're students, right, and we need a refresher. We don't know, we don't have all the answers, don't even subscribe to. So, but I do know that pain, there's the minister has taught us about grief, right? And it's similar to that when you lose somebody, but you can't sanction for someone how long that pain takes. But what you can realize is that the longer it takes you, the more devastating it is for you. So like that, when she said, P.O., get off the pot, it was like, because, so that was a real thing. And I had to say, if you stand, get in, go back in and work through it.
Finish what you start.
And put all that on the table, because otherwise it's constant conflict inside of you. Next question.
Brotherhood. Boy, wake up 3 o'clock in the morning. She looking over top of you.
Oh, wait a minute. Pause.
Hold it now.
What?
Oh, hold it now. Wait, hold it now. Hold it. All of a sudden, you can't breathe. Right?
We're not touching him. He just can't breathe.
Yeah, you gotta go.
Don't have nothing to do with you.
I'm just keeping the 100.
That's a self-accusing spirit.
Turn the steam on. Start breathing, and then walk like 3, 4, 5, 30 in the morning. That's the, it was almost like, it was like, okay, bro, I accept, but I'm gonna make sure you don't ever do nothing like that to me again, right? And that's how I learned it. I'm sleeping real good. I'm sleeping real good now. And I got some brothers that got killed by some females. That they was beating on them though, and they while they was asleep, but they didn't wake up. What I mean? So,
oh wow.
I go to stretching and look.
That's too much of a thin line between love and hate.
I said, wait. Oh, it's time to get up, take a shower, and go for a walk.
That's the oh, praise the due to Allah.
Sister Farrah, you made me think of Kazoo. You mentioned Kazoo. I don't think it's any coincidence. Kazoo had a big, giant head like Yaku. Anyway, before I get to my question, beloved, we have a couple of questions from the audience. Before I get to your question, Sister LaShawn, if you could, I'm going to post up one of your questions, Sister LaShawn, in just a moment. But if you could please condense, because the StreamYard doesn't allow for too much of a big comment or question to be shown. I'm going to show this one right here. Sister Kalila, this is your husband.
Hey, husband.
He says here, based on your marital experience, how important has it been to have patience with each other
My
And
God.
can you share any instances where either of you lacked patience, and what was the outcome? Whoa.
Yeah, I don't
Woo.
got it.
Good
Yeah, he
question
telling
right
on
there,
me.
beloved brother. But I
Telling on me.
tell you, the minister said we have to earn patience, right? I heard Brother Norton teaching on it. We have to earn patience, right? Because we're
Say
not born with
it again.
it.
Say it again.
We're not born with it. You
Right.
know, we're not born with
Something else.
it. You know, and because we're not born with it, and then patience don't mean, you know, like twiddling your fingers. It just means staying steady. You persevering. You know, but stay steady though. You know, don't get riled up, man. Just stay steady. You know, you don't want to be easily thrown off your game. You know, but
Wow. We needed this question yesterday. I mean, where
money.
golly.
It ain't easy. It ain't easy. It ain't easy.
It's
not
not.
easy.
It's not.
It's not easy.
Patience is absolutely necessary. And I believe that patience is in the coursework. It's in student, because you know, when you read Sister Ava's book in the beginning, oh,
Right.
yeah.
Oh,
So
that one. Yeah, that's my favorite.
This book literally saved my journey late in life in terms of understanding my husband more, and the male more, period, but my husband more. And it allowed me to increase the patience.
Is it the planet Earth? Is it the woman of the planet Earth?
It's the weapons of self-destruction.
Yes, that one and the other one, but the other one too.
For women in the war against negative internal forces.
That
and
one.
The rebirth and rise of the original woman.
That one right there.
I use
my favorite book
with in every aspect of my journey, like I do Closing the Gap, like I do How to Eat to Live. And I tell you what, when I read in there this piece, Brother Al, he can't remember this actually happening, but we were in the car one day, and I was talking to him, and he was saying, just driving, and we were driving. I think we had just dropped Nehemiah off to school, and I said, "Sweetheart, did you hear what I said?" He said, "Babe, I was thinking about the rent. You know, Miami is triple the rent in Baltimore." So we first got there, it was like, Lord, that's all you were thinking about is the rent, right? So and he said it like, what's up with you? You ain't got nothing on your mind, like that kind of. He didn't say that, but that was the look, you know. So I said, wow, I must have listed about 15 things that I had on my mind, from my son's project to my daughter's she's getting ready to go to college and signing up, you know, the paperwork, and then, you know, maneuvering and managing whatever. I had about 15 things, and he looked at me, he said, "If I had that much stuff on my mind, I would die." I said, "Die?" I said, "Die." And I'm talking about, you know, when they say a man works from sun to sun, but a woman's work is never done. You're talking about what the children are going to have for dinner. What's going on over here? So-and-so broke up. So-and-so has piano class. So all of these things go through our minds, right? And we're working it out. And I read in Sister Ava's book, it talks about the conscious and the subconscious mind. When I tell you, it blew my mind in talking about the conscious mind is the male, and he will never understand the depth. Now, this is not a you know, the depths of the woman. And that's why it is often said that the man will get to Allah, I'm paraphrasing absolutely, through the woman,
Right.
because of her ability to submit, right?
Right.
That's part of it. He thinks on a whole different level, but it takes the way she thinks, connecting dots. We connecting when something comes up, we're connecting dots. Well, no, we can't do that because this, that, and the other is going on, this and that. And but the man is thinking, that's doable. But tunnel vision. He's focused.
Right.
Food, clothing, and shelter.
Period.
Those things that are important, and we're doing all the other things that help that stay afloat.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So when I realized that, and that Sister Ava said she's an author, a minister, the assistant to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. This is in the book. And she said, I don't care what's going on. If she gets a cold and she's down, they're looking at her like, you need to pull it together, lady.
You're right. Because we can't live without you.
So I understood that it wasn't personal. It is the way that they're wired differently. We knew that in the beginning. We have two different mindsets, but that allowed me to have a lot more patience with him and understanding that it's not personal, that his mind is wired differently, but also to get him to try to understand some things, both of us, so me as well as him.
We have a couple of other questions here. Brother Zachariah in Miami asked this question. Brother Al, how many years have you grown into your marriage, and how deep is your marriage?
Well, family, it's been and still growing.
That's right.
And still growing.
Right.
And I'm so deep now. I'm vulnerable because I've surrendered to Allah. I'm in the process of totally surrendering to Allah, and I trust my wife. She loves Allah, Master Fard Muhammad, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, the humble Louis Farrakhan. She loves Black people. And she's the female side of me. It's just how we work. You can drop us anything, it's just how we do, And so I've never been this deep in love before. I was always running from this. I broke a lot of hearts. Running from this, and so now I believe that Allah has me here, and He has me, in a student frame of mind, so that's why it's been 36 years. That's why it's been 36 years.
We have another question here from Sister LaShawn. Sister LaShawn, I'm just going to read the question part. This is like ginormous. Thank you for the doctoral.
We love you, Sister
LaShawn, the professor.
And my goddaughter's on here. We love you, Janat. Thank you for tapping in.
Praise be to Allah. She asked the question, how do you or I think she's saying, how should you handle emotions when your significant other comes to you about something you just can't come to agree with, but at the same time allow them to tell you what they are going to do, and they still do it?
Okay. I believe in
I'm gonna leave it up there for a moment.
Emotionally over anything other than him that you would make.
So I think she's saying like there's a disagreement.
Yes.
And I'm a disagreement about doing something, and how do you handle the other person's emotions when there is a disagreement?
How can you handle the emotions when your significant other comes to you and basically say, hey, this is what I'm going to do regardless of how you feel? How do you handle it?
Wow. Everything, I'm just prayer starts everything here. Before we came on here, we had to make prayer, and then we made prayer again once we got with you all.
Right.
But I in this journey, which it was mentioned before about the decision, and the decision that we're not always going to agree, but that we must not be disagreeable, and that it's okay to agree to disagree on some things. It is not, I mean, not the basics, like there's no God, there's got to be an agreement. However, but there's some things that we're just not going to see eye to eye. And that's where that part that we see differently is. And it's very real. But I think it's very important to hear each other's side. That's another thing. Those Wednesday night classes, you got to come, because we're talking about just that in there. And so it's a refresher for us too. You know, when you go into that class, you bring your notebook, because yesterday I came back home and I was like, wow, I've got to work on this.
Wow.
But the other person has to be important enough that they're worthy to be heard. This is the truth with your children, I'm talking about your children, period.
Right.
But whomever the relationship is with, you have to go in, and I'm learning that even more and more with my older children, because you're an advisor now. You're not their, head honcho in charge anymore, and
right,
they will
right.
quickly right. So I'm definitely not that with my husband. So what I do is I give it time, because sometimes it's not the right time. You have to know who, when, where, why, and all those things have to be thought of before you go. And sometimes you got to wait a minute, and you got to go. Like, I was supposed to have been an attorney, but I am a defense attorney for Black people, women, pretty much in general, and children. But you got to state your case, get some actual facts there. And whenever you present it in the best of spirit. If you go angry, you just don't get this, you never listen to me, or I heard you and you don't listen, or this is just my side. I'm never going like that. I know already what's coming. I already know what's coming. I already know the outcome of that. But if I say, babe, later on, that I really want to get that car painted. I mean, because when it came up before, it was hot time, bills were coming through, this, that, and the other. But when your mind has a chance to think about it, I just state it and move away from it. I don't keep driving and driving and driving it right then, because I see that it's not going in. I find a way to state it where it's digestible, the way I would want to be fed that, because and you, over a course of years, you learn to study each other and know that, like, once again, it was said in ways, in something plucks your nerves. Why would I go after that unless I want chaos? And that doesn't mean you're a chump. You let things just, it means that, like Brother Al said, it's wisdom. You understand what works and what doesn't, and you find it doesn't mean you let it go by. It means that's not the right time. Let's bring it up a little later. That doesn't mean months later. That means that you deal with it, but you deal with it in the fashion where you both go to Allah first, prayer, because it's not about us. It's not about, if we're in the center of it, that's the problem. When there's chaos, somebody else is in the center of that marriage, and it's not God. As soon as you push one of those people lightly, don't be just push, move them out and put Allah at the center, God at the center, whatever you call him. You go to the book, scripture, like Brother Al was talking about. You kiss that book, and then you go into, you open it and see what Allah has. And sometimes it's uncomfortable.
Right.
But then you work your way. Now you're working on what God says, not about you. So that now when you take that being, it's personal out of it and bring a lot into it, then that cohesiveness can come back together. That harmony can come back together. But the minute, I ain't like the way this went, I ain't like the way you did. What does Allah say?
Right.
What does Allah say?
Right.
Are they frozen?
They froze. They did the freeze.
It's not gonna work.
Okay. There
Well,
you go.
now they're back. All right. Let me if I could proceed into my question, and if we get a testimony about what has been recently happening, dear family. My question is as follows. Please reflect and personally respond to this verse from the Holy Quran, which is the second surah or chapter, verse 216. Oh, wait a minute. I'm reading the wrong one. I'm sorry, family. Where is mine? I had another question here. Oh, there we go. Please reflect personally to these verses from the Holy Quran. Surah 29, verses 1 through 2. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I, Allah, am the best knower. Do people think that they will be left alone, saying, we believe and will not be tried? And how have you overcome trials in your 30 plus years of marriage? But I know that you all have experienced some very specific trials recently, and if you could expound on what this Quranic verse and the question.
Back in 2023, around August, we had moved from July. We moved from Miami
May
to Jacksonville. So in the month of July, I noticed like a little pimple, like right on my collarbone. I'm always training, and I'm noticing something when I go in the bathroom. Like, damn, what's that? So I keep moving. I'm in Jacksonville, starting to feel out the city. There with Mark, he's introducing me to some pastors. And then all of a sudden, it really concerned me. It concerned me, and I got scared. But then she recognized it. She said, "What's that?" I said, "I don't know. It's been there for about 3 weeks, and it's growing." So then she goes to researching. She's researching. We're gonna do this thing holistically, find out what it is, what's going on, all the possibilities of it. Made contact with Sister Donita, Dr. Donita, and Dr. Gary. Informing them. So they're like guiding us. And we're doing the holistic piece, but this thing is still growing. Now, I don't want to go into the hospital. I don't want to go into the hospital. And then time is going by and it's growing, and it's growing. So it started, like growing over to my throat, but I didn't say nothing. And so now the wife, she done let the family know in Jersey, so people's like, come on, you got to go get that check. The wifey's like, okay, we're going to go get a check. So we went and had when you check for babies, what is
biopsy? You had a biopsy.
Not the biopsy first.
Sonogram.
We had the sonogram first. We did the sonogram first, right? And then went back to the doctors and said they couldn't tell them too much, because
his blood work was phenomenal, and he
praise be to the
he did not want to go to the doctor. I had to call his sister and make her the threat to happen. But and we were trying poultices and some natural things that we had gotten from some friends of Mother Tanetta's. Actually, we had been, referred to some other people. And after we realized it kept growing, we're like, okay, when they got the blood work, They couldn't figure out what it was. They were like dumbfounded. They knew the blood work was good. So we continued on. Not long after that, we got CT scans, PET scans, and
biopsies.
Biopsies, and they said that there was something going on, some activity, and that they put a label on it. Sarcoma. First, it was carcinoma. Then it continued to grow, and then they said it was sarcoma. And so we went through.
Now this thing is growing, family, so big. She got pictures. She wouldn't even want to show the pictures, right? It's growing. Look like another head. It looked like another head that's here on my shoulder, and so
you can kind of see it there.
That's very small compared to where it was. At that time, we were in radiation. Radiation. No, that was radiation. Chemo was last year. Time. Chemo was last year, and that was devastating. That was five. It was.
So we're going through all of this process, brother, and there were nights, nights that we couldn't sleep. We was in so much pain. And we would get up and pray, and then we would read this. This is what we would read.
Praise be to
God. We would read the Honorable Louis Farrakhan until the pain stopped. And then I said, I can go to sleep now. And that was my remedy. That was my therapy for my pain. Because at first I wasn't taking nothing. I didn't know I could take emotion. I didn't know I was supposed to take anything. We don't, I don't want to take no pills anyway. But anyway, reading the information. We're in the doctors now. Chemotherapy, 5 days a week, 5 to 7 hours a day, under the chemo, and then 2 weeks with lab work, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of chemo for 6-7 hours again, and then 2 weeks. And it got me to the point where it knocked me down. Now this thing.
He was in a wheelchair.
Oh, she's wheelchairing me around.
And a cane. And let me tell you that the start of that, when we moved here, Brother Al was working with a beautiful bishop, Bishop
Reed.
A good friend of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, which is the reason why we came to Jacksonville in the beginning. And so, and we thank God for our sister Yvonne that helped us to get our launch here in Jacksonville. Yeah. Forever grateful. But Bishop Reed gave us a passage out of Psalms 121 that he had gotten, I believe, from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in one of his lectures or in the writings. It says, I will lift, this Psalms 121, I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord, which made the heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he hath keepeth Israel, shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Lord shall preserve thy going out and coming in from this time forth and even forevermore. That was the passage that when I tell you glued to it, because it was so, fear no one but Allah.
That's right.
Fear nothing but Allah. When you see this happening, it's like when they easier said than done. But when you focus on something, and that was a passage that we focused on receiving everything from the Creator, everything from Allah, staying in our classes, running to study group when we could go, getting to that MGT class, even for a breather. When I would come back, I would have to check for his breathing. but it was my inner tube to keep me standing, just to be able to be amongst the believing body. And so that passage in 29, especially from our Muhammad's Mosque number 29, the spider,
Yes, ma'am.
right? It's real. Those trials, when I tell you that chapter is so important, period, because it keeps you remembering the blessings on the other side. Yeah, because they are pure. Because this, and I say that love has become unconditional, and we pray that Allah, it remains that way. It's become unconditional. There's nothing on the other side of the love, like if you know, and because you, it's like love. And when you have to, I became a wound care specialist. I hate the sight of blood. I went to a vampire movie the other day by mistake because I was doing some fishing. And I ended up, I don't do blood.
She did very well.
So
she did very well.
To be able to do that and then give the wound care specialist some tips, because that's because of that class that we have.
Come on.
It's a silly woman. So when you going to take care of a wound, you got to take care of it right. So he's also trained me in the event that something really comes up in the community or whatever. I know how to put the gauze on. I know how to clean it. I have the, I know how to do that. And so, what we went through, blood, when I tell you, it is miraculous,
But it's like Allah had you both go through this trial for multiple purposes.
On many levels. You said it, Brother Tony.
Yep.
Many levels. It strengthened our bond. Yep. It led us to see working together, that teamwork there. And it built up our skills, the ability to be able to jump in and help others when they're, just on so many levels, Brother Tony. It strengthened our faith. It really did.
And I tell you, for me, to be in pain and can't sleep and read the Honorable Louis Farrakhan's words, and then if the pain subsides, that see, and that's my man. That's my man. That's that's why I want to put a smile on his face. Because of what he gave us. Look what he sacrificed. Right. Look from our perspectives, right? Look what he challenged.
Mm-hmm. That was a major.
Look what he challenged to get us to where we are right now. Right. Could we have dared that? The threats, people maneuvering to kill you,
being on the cutting board,
sacrificing his family,
having to get chemo and radiation, having to go through that process. Right. That was in the forefront of our minds because it was scary, because, we don't do that, this, that, and the other. And you look at the standard that had to go through that exact trial. That's right. Or something thereof. And you realize, oh yeah, you got to do what you got to do, wow. and how to eat to live. When I tell you those jewels and gems that we were able to implement into this process and to help us continue to move forward, that was part of our saving grace, like prayer.
Prevention.
Yes.
That our way prevents. And even when you have to fight.
That's right.
The body it's in fighting, it's in check post stance.
Mm-hmm.
It's in check post stance. Always, it's always like that, because of the dietary law, because of our way. My son said to me, when I was 63, he's just amazed how I get up out the car. Woo. And he's like, Dad, people that are 45 and 50, Dad, they be rocking their way up out of this. Yeah. Get out the car. I said, son, that just didn't come like that. See, you have a dietary law, how to eat to live. If you don't practice it, son, you won't be able to do that.
That's right.
You'll be just like those 45-year-old and 50-year-old rocking, because it's convenient for them to get out. The only way your father was able to do that is because we practice it. Maybe it's not 100%, maybe 95%, but we practice it.
Exercise, eat
You
to
know?
live.
And so if we didn't have it, we wouldn't have been able to go, I mean, this trial, it was scary. It was scary, and you didn't know what the outcome was going to be, but I knew I was in a fight, and when you're in a fight, you don't need no weakness around you.
Come on.
Come on.
And what I mean by that, you don't need no woe is me.
Right.
When you in a trial, because that's what it is, it's a trial. No matter what it is, Allah has set it up, to prepare you for something coming down the road. Remember, it's the trial. So now, because that's what it is, that's the mindset. You don't accept it as, oh man, I'm being cursed. Oh man, I did this now a lot. No. And even when it gets tight, you pick up the books. Pick your books up, read your books, read them. And then I would read this out loud where I can hear myself, and it sent out the vibrations. It sent vibrations. It made me feel good. Shit, I never leave Farrakhan. When the challenge comes, we all gonna get challenged in the name of Allah, but when you think about, and I know they probably was talking like this about the most humble Elijah Muhammad, and they left him.
My God.
And they left him. But I can say it's just when it comes, we just got to see.
Brother Al,
because I did.
Brother Al, you actually answered another question that I had. I'm just going to read this verse from the Quran, then I'm going to hand it over to Brother Mark. But here in the Holy Quran, the second surah, in the 216th verse, it reads, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, fighting is ordained for you, though it is disliked by you. And so you're giving a testimony like, hey, even though I don't like this, I got to get up and fight.
I gotta fight.
Show you how to fight.
Gotta fight.
That's right.
The picture that he has over his chair, is Muhammad Ali underwater with his hands up, just like this. So when you said that, that's exactly the picture that he has.
And so I got me and the Ra up under that one too, T. So me and the Rasu up under that one too, T. We talk about fighting. The Ra made sure
strengthened us up.
The Ra made sure you could fight, boy. Oh man.
Yeah.
But the mindset, family, those out there that are watching and listening, the mindset of Allah, that's what we got to get. That's what we got to strive for. That mind that's in Christ, the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, when they tell us what he's gone through and how he views it and how he accepts it, that's how we supposed to do it and see it for what it is. Because I saw the pain as strengthening me. Like we was coming through it. Now, because we coming through it now, what is Allah showing me now?
That's right.
And then Allah bring us through. Forgive my passion, though, but that's how I feel about
you are not forgiven.
About words, what they mean and what they mean to us. It's real. We are living God. He's real.
It's interesting that you mentioned the word passion. My question, after all of these years in service to your nation, the Nation of Islam, how do you maintain that high level of passion? How do you maintain that high level of passion? Because normally you would expect a tapering off and a lowering, but yours just stays. Both of you just stays at this high level. How do you maintain that passion in service to your nation?
You want to know for real, Mark?
Yes, sir.
You go first, or I'm gonna slide in.
No, you go. You go ahead. You go. The name. Remember, Allah, Master
Go
Father
ahead.
Muhammad came to make a nation of gods. Now,
Mhm.
now, God. I mean, just look at Farrakhan. Look at Farrakhan. Look at Farrakhan. How Farrakhan has come through it. You know why? Because remember, he wanted to be in the pupil of God.
Mhm.
You know, he wanted to be in the pupil of God. Mark, we want to stay in the pupil of God, right? And so because we want that, Mark, you know, it's always somewhere to go. It's always like moving forward to some greatness because you don't know who you are. That's why we got the X, you know. But the minister said that anyone who desires to be in the eyesight or the pupil of God desires to serve, right? Mark, when I played football, that was seasonal. Everything is seasonal, but this right here, whoo, it's infinite here. This battle is in, and then you fight from the inside, and then you go out and fight the enemy.
Mhm.
You fight from, you get strong enough, and then you go battle the enemy. How many of us out there battling the enemy? We still got to get to that level.
Right.
See, we still got something to shoot for. He walked the walk. We can't tell him no. What can we tell him, Farrakhan, that is? He done did all of this. And because of his commitment and his dedication, the slogan, you only get out of it what you put in it. And you see what he put in it. And these are the results. So the same thing is for us, Mark. It's never how to eat to live, keeping the body tight, you know, exercising, keeping the mind sharp, staying prayed up, and then going out in the wilderness, dealing with that so-called Negro, dealing with that devil, dealing with that opposition, but with skill. You know what I mean? With skill. It just I want to be great, Mark.
Mm. Mm.
Yes, sir.
I mean, you know, we all of us, we got the opportunity. That's what y'all doing right now.
That's right.
We ain't no slouches.
Right.
We nation
Yes, sir.
builders. Excuse me. But we nation builders.
Well,
That's my passion. What about yours,
think
brother?
that,
He just said
yes,
this.
ma'am.
No.
Wow. I'm a student, and prior to even being under the umbrella of the Nation of Islam, I've always loved and fought for the less fortunate. And so when I get an opportunity, I was heavily into politics. Well, not into politics myself, but I was helping people that were in politics try to do something great in our city, Baltimore. Cousins and folk ran for offices. I was always in the mix. And then learning about this world and things that truly happen. And I realized that my passion came from servicing, from helping people. I've always been at the beckoning of people that needed assistance or help, or no matter what area it was in, you know, and just coming in to learn about myself, the value of the woman. I think that's the part that really just grabbed me, because the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan says that the reason why the world is in the condition that is in is because of the mistreatment of women. And so my fight has always been for us because of the way we were mistreated, whether it was family, this world, just, you know, just. And so it's always been part of my fight. And then to come into that, which I was always a student. And I remember in Baltimore, Brother Jamil would take us out into the field. We would go into the different go into the halls of the congressional offices. We would be everywhere fighting. Whatever there was something that was some injustice, we were in there. We would show up in ranks and, gather around and handle business. And then when Brother Minister Salam, Abdul Salam came, he was a historian. Well, you were just constant. You just needed a notebook to be around, and just learn and learn from wherever we've started until where we are to this very day. Just a student, just never a day where you're not learning and growing about the world affairs, about your community, about business, about health, about eating. It's comprehensive insurance for me.
Yeah.
So that's what I love. And I want to defend that. When I go and stand post, I'm not standing post just to be in a building, make sure nobody comes in. I'm standing post for a mindset that Allah came in the person of Master Farm. A person, he's a living God. I'm standing on post and I'm defending a woman's right to choice, and that is no longer the choice to dispose of the unborn baby, although I never could sit in judgment. God knows I can. But now I understand the value of her womb, her mind. I'm standing post for how to eat to live with no G. We talking about GMOs back in the 30s. And standing post for vaccinations that enter into our babies and to see it play out and live in color. I have found, when my husband said he found what he's been looking for all the days of his life, that's what I found. And so for me, it's like I have an opportunity to go out and be there and be present and learn and grow and lift somebody else that comes in there. So that's why when you'll find us talking to the new people, because we just, without a shadow of a doubt, we don't ever disrespect other folk, what other folk believe, because we know there's but one God. That's right. And we know, and that's what I love too. It's universal. You can't pull away from our Christian family. You can't pull us away from the Hebrew Israelites or the Jews. The Jews and our Jews, right? You can't pull us away from. We're respecters of everybody. What we have is universal, and so that's why I just can't wait to get to it. So that for me is why we're always passionate. It's like, I'm ready. You're not ready. That's what we say to each other all the time. You're not ready. I'm not going to be late. I'm going to leave you. And I'm like, you're going to come back and get me? Or you're going to, we're excited about going. We're excited about events that we have. Yeah. We're excited because we believe that it saves lives, and we bear witness to it saving our lives with all the education, whatever. That education amounts to nothing if you're not rooted, for us, if you're not rooted in living God, is service oriented.
Come on.
Service oriented. So do the walk of Jesus, do the walk of Jesus.
Wow.
Praise be to Allah.
All praise be to
Well,
Allah.
let's end this. We thank you so much for your time and offering such great jewels to these questions. Last question, and I know you're going to give us the best that you have, as you already have. This last question is to both of you, and it should sound very familiar. It's taken from the Holy Quran, chapter 4, verse 1, just a small part of it. And keep your duty to Allah, by whom you demand one of another your rights, and to the ties of relationship. How do these words apply to a successful marriage or successful being in the process of marriage?
I must say, it. You know, in the beginning of the marriage, I used to work an 8-hour job, and I'll come home and be tired, and my suit and stuff be set up for me, and like, hey, hey, your suit and stuff is set up, ready for class. Because I be thinking I'm gonna go home and rest. I ain't gonna go nowhere, But just that it's there, You're on your way to class, and the suit, the shirt, everything just be set up right there, just to inspire one another, and helping her even, with the units. I mean, she goes out, she works, she brings money in the house, and so I got to make sure also, that the house is clean, It's just, we inspire each other. We inspire each other because we love each other, and we settle on the best part. And even if there's a fight, somebody's going to say something to break that thing, to break that ice. Somebody always going to say something, that they know it can touch your heart, just to get you to mumble something. And then once you mumble it, then all of a sudden, oh man, it's just, because you got to keep going. You got to keep going. You got to keep going. So she looks out for me, Mark. I look out for her. Because that's our training. I didn't know.
And that's right, because when you talk about duties to Allah, and when you have prayer, you start your day off with prayer. And once again, a shout out to the Fajr prayer line that allows us to tap into prayer, allows us to tap into the Holy Quran, the Word, tap what's going on in the world, final call, and then whatever we're reading. You tap in that morning, that's your morning meditation, and prayer and meditation through the Word and information. And so when we join and do those kinds of things together, and attend the classes, because the classes only benefit, it's not for anybody else that we're going to the classes for, but to enrich ourselves and to help, to keep the body moving forward. But the main part is self-development. So if we stay in that fold, because the minute you deviate and start going and missing all of those things, that's when it says, what creeps in? Deviation. It creeps in.
You mean you can't see it?
Can't see it. Well, it slap you down, you're all over the place. And so we try to be reminders of each other to the way, the word and the way. And so that keeps us.
It's so humbling.
It is. And we fall far from the glory, the grace of Allah. But we are so grateful for an opportunity every day to get it right, to correct it, to get better. So we're humbled, and we're so honored, because honestly, I thought there's so many other people. I know someone, I was just listening. I should get the picture. I should do this. And and I kept thinking, just get over yourself, get over yourself, because, it's the work. And we love the work.
That's right.
That's it. It's not about us. It is not about us. It's about the work. And we love the work.
Beautiful. Thank you. And I'm sure our audience thanks you.
I wanted to also segue to a couple of adventures that our dear brother Al and Sister Farrah actually are engulfed in. One being helping families to obtain proper income protection, life insurance, and other financial services. You have those. Please utilize both of those numbers and call our brother and sister to, hey, listen, when I say this is a great tool to save your family, but not only save your family, but put money in your pocket at the same time. It's a duo that is phenomenal. Um, I can bear witness to it. And I think, once you give it a try, you will be successful in it because all it takes is for the love that you have for your people and the sacrifice that you have for humanity. You will love this program. So please get in contact with our sister and our brother. Sacrifice some time and some energy, and always be mindful that God promised us two things mainly, and that's life and death.
Thank
So
you.
how we secure our family is important.
That's
Okay.
right. That's right.
And
So
who does not need life insurance?
right, exactly.
Who does not need burial insurance?
And financial services.
And financial services. All of us do.
Definitely.
ALL.
That's right.
Absolutely.
It's always best to go with your own. And so we encourage you to go with your own. Contact our brother and our sister.
And the mean.
The bean
Uh-oh.
is mean, brother Al. The bean is mean. I used to sell those mean beans, brother Al.
Brother Al, I need to work on a jingle for you. I definitely need to work on a jingle for you for the
Yeah.
I'm working on it. I'm in the lab.
Oh, you got chocolate ice cream, I see. Okay. All right.
Ooh.
Listen, I guarantee you get a hold of one of these bean pies, you'll automatically say, where do I sign up to be in the Nation of Islam?
Come on.
This is how,
If you don't get the mean bean on the regular.
is. Right. You'll be like, wait a minute, what I signed up for? I just signed up for the bean pie. No, brother, you signed up for the Nation of Islam. Well, I was following the bean pie, brother. Well, this mean bean pie will make you fall in love with something that you don't know what you fell in love with. But I guarantee you stay in, you ain't going nowhere. Look, in my brother Al's voice, she ain't going nowhere. So please support our brother with the mean green.
If you're in the northern part of Florida, you gotta go by Jacksonville and get yourself some mean beans.
Listen, and it carries from far and wide as well too. It don't just go in Jacksonville now. He will ship it now. It's called modern technology, right down to the modern time. We can get it to you. Just say the word, Johannesburg. So let's make it happen. Praises be to Allah. I'm working on it, brother Al. I'm working on your jingle.
You're
gonna do a whole rap,
family. Really. Thank you for that love.
Praises be to Allah.
And talking about support, Sister Kalila.
Please support.
Oh, yeah.
Support your own, and this is your own podcast right here. Yeah. Your 7th Region Coalition to help save lives. Your Thursday night talks.
That's right.
We thank you for whatever donation you have, dear family. Mm-hmm. We do have expenses to take care of. We are doing this from the kindness of our hearts, but StreamYard doesn't tell us, oh, you all so nice. No, I think we're going to let you stream for free. It doesn't work like that. No, it doesn't. So whatever you could contribute to the cause, to helping save lives through this quality broadcasting, that where information, ideas are being presented on how to help preserve life. Because in general, that's what we're discussing right now. The preservation of life. if whatever donation you're able to make, it does not have to be a large amount. It could be a few dollars. However, if you have a large amount that you'd like to contribute, we're just going to say thank you, and we're going to put it to work. And so may Allah God continue to bless you all and your families.
All right. And with that being said, let's close out, because listen, let me tell you something about StreamYard. If this show goes over 2 hours, I'm gonna have to cut this show in little small pieces, and I don't want to do that. So we got.
We're right at that mark almost.
Right. So, yeah.
So in the immortal words of Brother Lyle.
Oh yeah, you gotta do that.
See, we're not a gang, we're not a clique, we're not a crew.
Yeah, what's Lyle say?
We're not the Scouts, we're not the Boy Scouts or the Girl Scouts or anything like that. What are we?
We are the Seventh Region Coalition.
Next week, family.
Like